Hello, I'm Rachel, and it's time for our children's moment. Kiddos, parents, adults, I hope that you'll all stick around. There's something from the Word of God for all of us. Pastor Tim is sharing from Mark chapter 10, and that is where our story is found today. This is my friend Earl Swigert, one of our storytellers from Children's Church.
This is the season of Lent. It's a time when we're all on our way to Jerusalem to celebrate the mystery of Easter. But who will show us the way? Jesus will show us the way. Once a year, the people of God would get together and travel to the city of Jerusalem, God's holy city, to remember and celebrate the feast Passover. It was a time to remember when God rescued them from Egypt, walking through the river and into freedom. This year, Jesus was also on his way to Jerusalem to celebrate the feast. And the people followed him, and they were very close to Jesus. They got as close as they could because they knew Jesus would not turn them away. Unlike other people, they knew that it didn't matter if they were young, if they were old, if they were a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, if they were sick, if they were sad, if they were happy, if they were poor, if they were blind, if they couldn't talk, they couldn't hear. No matter what their sickness was, they knew Jesus would not turn them away. Now there was a blind man named Bartimaeus, who was a beggar. He begged because he was blind and couldn't find work. But he could hear, and he heard something. He heard Jesus going by. And he remembered God's phone number, Jeremiah 33:3. Call on me, and I will show you great and mighty things that you don't know. So he called, and he remembered, it's okay to call more than once. He wants us to keep calling. So he did. Jesus, help me. And the people told him to be quiet. Don't bother the master. He didn't want to talk to people like you. But he remembered he was supposed to keep asking. So he did. Jesus, please help me. Again, they told him to be quiet. But he was persistent. So he did it again, even louder. Jesus, please help me. Jesus stopped and told them to bring Bartimaeus to him. And Jesus smiled and said, what do you want? And Bartimaeus said, I want to see. And Jesus said, okay, receive your sight. And he slowly opened his eyes. And he could see. He couldn't believe it. God had answered his prayer. And everybody was jumping and joining him in laughter and thanking God. They just couldn't help it. Thank God for answering his prayers. They were so happy, and they all followed Jesus on the way to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover feast. So remember, ask.
So I wonder what we might need from Jesus, what we might ask God. And what do you have there available with you that you might use to be able to think about that? Do you want to draw a picture? Do you want to paint? Parents, sorry if I'm mentioning things that you don't have at your house. Is building a building out of blocks? What is it that you might use right now as you listen to Pastor Tim's sermon and you think about what is it that you want to ask God?